Ja, hallo ihr Rabauken and welcome to my long-term review of the Godox 600 Pro. I've been using this great flash for about 2.5 years now, and I will give you my thoughts on it right after the intro. So as always, I like to keep things as straightforward as possible, so let's dive right into it basically. And I'm not going into all the technical features and details about this flash because I assume this, since this is a long-term review, you also know most of it about it. The Godox 600 Pro was the first flash I bought from a professional photography equipment retailer, and I was pretty lucky because the battery was what we would call in Germany a Monday product. So a Monday product we call things that have got a lot of issues, and when you first solve one, the next comes up. And the battery wasn't working properly, so they had a good service and they repaired it for me, so I even had to send it in twice, and which was pretty nice. So what I bought is the basic AD600 Pro with the standard reflector, battery, charger, and in addition I also purchased this external flash head, so it actually kind of prolongs the distance from the main, very heavy main body to the bulb. And I will come back to this unit later in the video because I've got some points I really don't like about this one. So what did I put the flash through, or what did it went through? How was I, or am I using it? So as you have seen, if you have seen my AD200 long-term review, you might have or you might know that these are my main flashes I use. And the AD600 Pro I used indoors only, so in my studio and on location with client shoots like offices, etc., etc. And I did a calculation again about overall my projects I shot, and it fired about 7,000 to 8,000 flashes. And the most common power setting I've been using is 1/16 and 1/8. I also used quite some 1/256 and 1/128 power settings, since I like these dark moody shoots I call character photos, so with a very shallow depth of field. I dropped the flash once when I was getting it out of the trunk of my car. Nothing happened. It's about 6 months ago now, and I didn't see any negative effect. So the main modifiers I used are a 40 centimeters beauty dish, a 90 centimeters deep octa, a 100 centimeter flat octa, a 180 centimeter reflective umbrella, so not a shoot-through one. And I didn't use HSS because I really don't like it because of the quick overheating, because it forces the flash basically into a forced pause mode. And I also didn't use the color accuracy mode since I haven't got any clients with the requirements. So, but in general I didn't recognize any kind of color shifts. So I did shoots like 5 or 10 people in a row, business shoots, and also some portfolio shoots, taking like 400 to 1,500 pictures or images in one session. And these were the standard kind of image ratios I did. So in most cases I did a lot of images in a very short period of time. So it's like when the first person comes up for a business shoot, I'm shooting for 10 minutes, like 10-20 images in a row, then we take a look at the images, etc., etc. When do I use the AD600 Pro? So well, I use it with larger modifiers when the whole flash setup requires a kind of the other flashes to get into a too high power setting, so that it slows down the rate of fire. Not the rate of fire, so the rate of images I can take. So in this case I put the AD600 into the larger modifier, so I can get the overall power setting down, so that way I'm getting a very nice recycle time. Another reason is that sometimes I require modeling light, which is always included in my dark settings with very low power, at the very low power settings of the flash, and it's like in all the cases, it's just to make the autofocus working properly, so to illuminate your model basically. So now we are coming to the overall performance, reliability, and battery life, etc., etc. It's a very reliable flash. So when having misfires, so when the flash did not fire, it was mainly a kind of remote issue, because these incidents were all like no flash fired. So like if you got a setup of 4, 5, 6 flashes and when no flash fired, so these were the incidents basically when it didn't fire. So I honestly cannot really tell any occasion I had issues with the reliability of this flash. When you are using the modeling light, or when I used the modeling light, I emptied the battery within 3 to 4 hours, and within these 3 to 4 hours I was taking kind of 350 photos at a time. When I'm not using, or when I have not been using the modeling light, I'm getting like 1000 flashes out of one battery charge, sometimes even more. And the power settings I'm referring to for these figures are like 1/16 and 1/8. In general, I'm more confident with the battery light of the 8200s than the 8600 Pro, but this is heavily based on me using the modeling light quite often with the 8600 Pro. And there, when you don't switch it off every time, when you're having a pause or something, or a break, then it's discharging the battery constantly. Okay, so there you cannot really guesstimate the amount of images or flashes you're getting out of it. And the 8200s, if you're using them with a standard bulb, they simply don't have a modeling light. And now also a fun fact, but I really like this. This flash has got the best sound of all Godox flashes I own, and it's a very nice pok, yeah, so pok. And especially when I've got it in the all metal beauty dish, it's a very nice sound. I know it sounds funny, but it's really making the 8600 Pro a kind of acting as a pro sound-wise, and it's like it is. I really like it. So, and I'm talking about the sound of the bulb, not the recycling beep. Okay. So now we are coming to the pros and cons, and I'm also talking about this external head a little bit more. I would really like to start with the cons first, since there are only 2, and the rest of the flash is really fine to me. The first one is the weight in combination with no carrying case coming with the flash. And the second one is the external flash head I bought for it. So this flash is heavy. It's really heavy. And I'm not talking about the weight itself, like carrying it, etc., because I'm not going on safaris for several days. But due to the fact that there is no case coming with it, it's getting a little bit more complicated. But my main issue with the weight is actually how it influences how you work with it. So the heavier the flash, and the heavier the combination of flash and modifiers becomes, since I'm not owning very expensive light stands, so like these Manfrotto things where the light stand is even more expensive than the flash, it's getting complicated when working with these standard light stands, because the thing becomes pretty top heavy. And when using the 8600 Pro Plus modifier, especially when you're using boom stands, they really start bending a lot. And in most cases the counterweights are too light, so you have to support them with additional sandbags, and this also becomes a kind of slippery, unstable thing, so they can fall off, and it causes the whole construction to fall over, etc., etc. And this is really a major difference to using the 8200s, since this was also the reason I purchased the additional head for, to basically keep the weight on the floor and not having the bulb high above, or I would have the lighter bulb high above the model attached to the modifier. But the problem is the cable is so short, it's just 2 meters, and this is really nothing. I didn't recognize this before I was purchasing it. so I couldn't return it since I was purchasing it as a business. So in Germany, when you're purchasing as a business, you can't return it. So I would like at least 4 meters or better 5 meters to have the option to set up the modifier high above the model and running the cables along the light stands outside of the scene, etc. So the only setup that works relatively okay-ish for me is this light stand setup. You can see, so it's like the cable is very short, as you can see, and I'm using the AD600Pro as counterweight, and I'm not doing this so often because the floor span of the C stand is also not that wide, and it's pretty easy to put it over still. These were my negatives or my cons. On the power side, there is the pure power of it, so it's 600 watt-seconds, and the wide range of power settings, so you can get as low or as like 1/256 to full power, and which makes this flash really a I would call it a universal studio flash, especially when you take into account that it has also got a modeling lamp. So you can do these moody shallow depth of field stuff with the low power settings and the modeling lamp. And in addition, it's very reliable. Plus, it really looks like something. So if you're shooting for clients and you take this one out, it's a bit of a show-off thing. So this guy has professional gear. Okay, it's not a must-have, but it's nice to have, which simply comes on top. So I also like this very smooth handle mount, so it's not rastered, so it's flowing freely, and it's pretty decent, so it works pretty well even with the heavy modifiers. So the comparison, if I compare these flashes to the other ones I own, which are 8200s, SK402s, TT685 speedlights, and the V1 speedlights, since my main shooting style doesn't require 600 watt-seconds as a must-have feature, I'm fine with the 8200s most of the time, since I can combine two 8200s also with the B2 head, so we've got 2 in 1. There's maybe only one stop difference power-wise, or even less. So if I would shoot outdoors more often, or if other setups that would, or if I would shoot other setups that would require the higher power, I would have a stronger need for the AD600Pro. Compared to the SK400s, it has got some major advantages. So first one is the SK400s got power cables or power cords, and the main advantage is really that you can dial the AD600 down to 1/256. The SK400s you can only dial down to 1/16. So with the SK400s I can't do my moody sets with the shallow depth of field. It's impossible. Okay, I could add ND filters, but I would like to do so. The speedlights can also be used in most modifiers I'm using with the AD600Pro. But of course the power output is much less, and so either you would have to increase the ISO, or you have to wait for ages for the speedlights to recycle, since you're shooting full power all the time. I actually did a comparison once to find out if speedlights with omnidirectional speedlights compared to studio flashes with omnidirectional bulbs make a difference concerning the different light modifiers and light patterns you are getting out with this speedlight and studio light or studio strobe and light modifier combination. So they actually don't. I will release a video addressing this within the next week, so if you like it, put it into the comments. So to sum it up, would I purchase the AD600Pro again? Maybe not, because of the types of shoots I do. I would look more into the AD300 Pros or AD400 Pros, but this is only based on my personal style of shooting, so and the type of shoots I do and the clients I've got. So it's not because the AD600Pro is a bad flash. It's a great flash. It's a really great flash. So what I really would like Godox to do is to get me a flash head with like a 5-meter cable that would really make a a lot of things easier, much easier for me. So guys, that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and never forget to listen to more heavy metal, and any kind of questions you've got, put them into the comments. Bye. See you.